Good afternoon. I'm Chris Sorchik. I'm the Executive Director with Capital Area Healthy Start Coalition. I want to thank you for joining us today for our Lunch and Learn series. We do ask that if you aren't speaking to please go ahead and put yourself on mute. Drowning is the leading cause of injury-related death among children ages 1 to 4 and is the third leading cause of unintentional injury-related death among children 19 and under. According to the Department of Children and Families, in 2023, at least 97 children died by drowning in the state of Florida. Florida Charts reports that for every child who dies from drowning, another 5 receive emergency department care for non-fatal submersion injuries. Today, we're going to learn about bath and pool safety. We ask if you have questions during the presentation to go ahead and put those in the chat. Please join me in welcoming our presenter, Rhonda Carulli. Rhonda has 20 years experience in the human services field, providing case management services to pregnant women and families of children under 5. She has served the Treasure Coast area for 16 years as a National Child Passenger Safety Lead instructor, which enabled her to build a strong child passenger safety program on the Treasure Coast. In 2010, Rhonda began to search for an evidence-based unintentional injury prevention program, which led her to the Safe Kids Worldwide. Also in 2010, the Injury Prevention Task Force was formed to evaluate the need for an unintentional injury program. Rhonda served as the lead member of the Injury Prevention Task Force, which was instrumental in the efforts to develop a Safe Kids Coalition on the Treasure Coast. Currently, Rhonda serves as the Safe Kids Florida coordinator. In 2017, with the increase in local drownings, Rhonda created a partnership with the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office. Together, they developed Safe Kids Treasure Coast Dukes, DUKS, which stands for Deputies United for Kids Swim. This program provides free Red Cross Learn to Swim lessons to approximately 100 children a year. All of the deputies participating in the Dukes program and Safe Kids Treasure Coast staff are certified as Red Cross swim instructors. In 2016, Rhonda began serving as the Safe Routes to School program director for the Treasure Coast in Okeechobee. This program provided bicycle and pedestrian safety education to children and caregivers. Rhonda looks forward to continuing her efforts to reduce unintentional injury and deaths related to unintentional injury on the Treasure Coast. Rhonda, thank you. Welcome, and thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. All right, I'm going to do my best to share my screen so that we can get going here. There we go. Can everyone see that? Okay, perfect. So Les, as you were mentioning, drowning in the state of Florida, and I do have a slide that shows that, but while my little animated friend here is working for me, it is the leading cause of death for children ages 1 to 4, and that's a national standard with African-American male children nationally being at the highest risk. However, in the state of Florida, our numbers are more, it's ages 1 to 9 per capita are at a higher risk for drowning, with the Caucasian male child being our highest risk demographics. So this presentation that I'm doing is part of a Safe Baby Academy course that we have. It's part 2. We have child passenger safety and home safety and safe sleep are other portions to this curriculum that we created during COVID. So again, like I said, nationally, it's 1 to 4. The state of Florida, it's 1 to 9, with the Caucasian male child being at the highest risk for drowning in the state of Florida. So we're going to hope this works. And of course not. All right, so that's just a video that talks about drowning that kind of shows exactly the steps that I'm going over now. We practice the Safer 3 approach. And so with that, it's safer water, safer kids, safer rescue. And for our safer water, we have for spas and pools, we want them covered at all times when they're not in use. pool alarms, whether they're going on the doors, sliding glass doors, or just doors that lead out onto your pool deck, maybe from a bathroom. And I know that a lot of caregivers don't, they think about the sliding glass door, but they don't really think about a bathroom door that goes out onto their pool deck. That also needs to have a door alarm on it. Any exits that from your home that will go outside near the pool area should have locks that are either high enough that your child cannot reach or door alarms. Personally, I recommend that you have both because we know children are quick. They can slide chairs over. They could easily climb up a chair and unlock a lock that you have high. Or, so therefore with the pool alarm, that will go off if they're able to open that. And then safe drain covers. So pools now in Florida have to be inspected for drain covers, but there may be some pools that were grandfathered in that don't have appropriate drain covers. So we're always wanting to check those drain covers. Also educate children who are swimming in the pool that swimming down to touch the drain covers or play with the drain covers is not safe. We don't want them touching those drain covers because of drain entrapment. We don't want their hair getting caught in them. We don't want their fingers getting caught in. We want to avoid those drain entrapments. And the only way to do that is to educate our children to stay away from them. And then an isolation fence. Those fences should be 4 feet high. They need to be self-locking. And the gate that opens needs to open away from the pool. It's very easy for a child to open a gate and then push in and get to the pool. It needs to open and open away from the pool. And the barrier should be completely surrounding the pool. If they're not, if you're not using the pool's not in use, then the barrier fence should remain up. And we like to provide education to families who may not necessarily have any small children in the home, that it's not just children that are coming to your home that we're trying to protect, but we're also trying to protect neighbors' children who may somehow get into your backyard, get into your fence, and gain access to that pool. So if you're keeping that barrier up, it will slow a child down from getting into the pool, right? So that's our pool safety. We want to make sure that you're not putting things around the pool that are going to encourage the child to come to the pool, like your chlorine dispensers. Don't get the animated little sharks on them, or I've seen ones that look like beach balls, because that just encourages the child to reach and get to the pool. When you're done swimming, remove all toys from the pool so that they're not encouraged to reach in to get to that. And so we have safer response, right? So for any parent, whether you have a pool or not, right? Because we have kiddie pools and tubs, and I'm going to get into that in just a minute. Any parent should learn CPR, even if it's only hands-only CPR, right? Where you don't have to learn the full rescue breath, but just learning hands-only CPR could save someone's life potentially in a drowning situation. So around the pool, you always want to have a shepherd's hook or a life ring, right? You want to remove all toys from the pool immediately once you're out of the pool. And then again, don't use those chlorine dispensers that look like a toy. We want to remove any encouragement from a child who may gain access to reach in for something. And then other drowning hazards in the home. So kiddie pools are great and fun during the summer, but they're also have the potential for drowning. So as well as with built-in pools, above ground pools, these kiddie pools, the one way to prevent drowning is active supervision. You need to actively supervise. And when I say active supervision, I'm talking put your cell phones down. We don't want you talking on the phone, no texting. If you have company over, make sure that you're still sitting right there actively watching everyone who's in the pool. I can tell you that sadly last year in the month of May in St. Lucie County, there were 4 drownings. They were all at birthday parties, all with adults around. 1 ended in a fatality, 3 ended in non-fatal drownings, but they all had to be resuscitated. There was no one actively supervising the pool, or those drownings couldn't have happened. So active supervision is the key to prevent any drowning. When the kiddie pools are not in use, they need to be completely drained, right? Because we are in Florida and we do get our rainy season, they need to be turned upside down so that they're not a catchment for water, because a child can drown in a tablespoon of water. So we need to make sure that when those are not in use, they're drained and they're turned over. Bathtubs. No child should be left unattended. Again, we're getting back to active supervision, right? No child should be left unattended, or should I say young child, in the bathroom while taking a bath. And the time it takes for you to run grab a towel because you forgot a towel, or the time it takes you to run grab a washcloth because you forgot that, your child can drown. A child can drown in that short amount of time. So if you don't have it when you go into the bathroom, then it's not worth running to get once you put the child in the bath to start bathing them, right? You're just going to have to make it a little messy, pull them out of the tub. They're wet. It kind of, again, active supervision. You don't run for even a second. And then mop buckets. A lot of people don't think about mop buckets. Children are head heavy. And if you leave a bucket full of water sitting out, chances are if they can get to it, because they're children and they like water, they're going to play in that water. With them being head heavy, it just takes a matter of seconds for them to fall in head first. And now, again, you have that potential risk for drowning. And then sinks. We also want to make sure that, if you're not using the sink, there's no reason to have it filled with water, because children can easily pull the chair over, climb up on the chair. Now they have a sink full of water, again, head heavy, and they fall in and can't get themselves back upright and can drown. And I'm going to circle back to the tubs for a minute. I know that being in Florida, we are at risk for hurricanes, right? And so what we hear a lot is that families will fill their bathtub in the event that maybe they have well water and they're not going to be able to get any well water out because they have no power. So they'll fill their bathtubs. It's fine to fill the bathtubs, but the bathroom doors need to be locked. We have had children drown because those bathroom doors were not locked and they gained access to the bathroom. And again, being head heavy, fell in, and you're in the height of a hurricane, you're stressed, your emotions, are all over the place, and you may not be actively supervising as you normally would. And that gives this child a perfect opportunity to see a body of water to play in. So, if you're going to do that, it's fine. Just make sure that that bathroom door is locked and they can't gain access. And then I can't stress enough the importance of swim lessons for children, right? So in the majority of our counties in Florida, there is some type of vouchering program for discount swim lessons. If you need help for me to reach out into your community to try to find those resources for you, I can most definitely do that. I will tell you that the governor just did sign a swim voucher bill. This is going to be our first year administering that through the Department of Health. So we're going to start with our priority counties this year with our highest drowning rates. Next year, hoping to open it up and to get more funding. We only received about $500,000 to cover the state. But with that, your local Department of Health will be responsible for identifying vendors who will provide vouchered swim lessons to children who are at 200% poverty. So I'm really excited for us to start that this year, to see how it's going to work in those priority counties, and then to be able to push it out through the state next year. And it is targeting children ages 1 to 4. My hope would be next year that we can actually push it to children ages 1 to 9. We won't know that until we see what happens with this year's round of swim voucher funding. But I'm really excited that as a state, we are starting to look at this more and see what we can do to help to offer those swim lessons. And this is just kind of thanks for the videos that didn't want to work for me today. So if anyone has any questions, I know I ran through that quickly, but honestly, what I can say is that the most important thing that we can do for our children is active supervision and swim lessons. Please be careful if you're using what we call puddle jumpers or floaties. If you turn a floaty over and read it, it actually says that this is not a life-saving device. So it's telling you that it will not save your child's life while they're in a body of water. So make sure that if you're using a life jacket or a puddle jumper, that it is US Coast Guard approved. It's within the child's demographics, within their height and their weight, because putting a life jacket on that's too large increases their risk of drowning. Putting a life jacket on that's too small increases their risk of drowning. They have to fit within the labeling and the weight that's on that life jacket or the little puddle jumpers that are Coast Guard approved on the arms. So I'm going to turn that back to you. If you all have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
Amanda.
Rhonda, thank you so much for all of this information. It's been very helpful. Something that I have noticed becoming more popular as the years go on are the water tables for children. Whether it has traditional water in it or Orbeez beads in it. I would think the same sort of application of using active supervision would apply to those different sources of water as well.
Correct. Absolutely. Anytime you're dealing with water, it's active supervision. You know, and I didn't bring it up because it's kind of
Oh, you have a lot. Okay, let me
what
come
was-
around and unlock that for you.
it really was not you know, related to pools or bathtubs, but you know, we've seen an increase in drowning in retention ponds, right? Because you can't build a development now without a retention pond. And we know, especially in our children with autism, when they elope, they seek out bodies of water. So again, that's where those door alarms are going to come into use. And you do have access, just so that you know, through your child abuse and death review, to reach out to them in your area and request door alarms. They do have them, that you can get them for free. You'd be able to provide them to your families. Like I said, you just need to reach out to them to get that information. But like I said, it's not really something that you guys had asked me to cover, but we do know that retention ponds are a big issue because they're not being fenced in behind a locked fence, right? And they're really large. And when we speak to our municipalities, what they're telling us is we're using natural barriers. Well, children can get through natural barriers. And we're also seeing an increase in our drownings in seniors who are getting through those natural barriers, who, you know, are suffering from autism or Alzheimer's or dementia. So those door alarms, if you can get some. If not, again, reach out to me, because I will put you in touch with the person that you need to reach out to, and you can order those. They're free of charge, they're not going to cost you anything, and you can give them out during your water safety education tabling events.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Are there any other considerations that parents should think of when they are looking at the barrier surrounding, making sure that there aren't any chairs or stools nearby where a child might try to climb over the barrier to the pool?
Absolutely. So we were just having a conversation a few minutes ago that if we could follow California's standards now, they have to have 2 barriers in place at all times, which would be higher locks on the door alarms, as well as the barrier fence, right? Because now you have 2, because a barrier fence in all reality is only going to slow a child down. A child who's old enough can push a chair up to those barrier fences and actually topple over it. You know, a 2 or 3-year-old could easily do that. So they're a great way to reduce the risk of drowning. Are they 100%? Absolutely not, because they can push a chair up to it and they can't climb over it. Now, there are other products that you can purchase that are a little more expensive, that are a little more techy. They have something called an Angel Eye. And so the Angel Eye actually is installed in the pool where the lighting would be, and it constantly does a scan for someone who is exhibiting the signs of drowning. And then it alerts the cell phones or sets off an audible alarm. You also have other items that you could put in the pool, sensors that with, you know, large splashes, it would go off and create an audible alarm. So there's a lot of techie products out there that could work and should work, as well as using the barrier fence. But absolutely, I would keep anything pushed away because that just gives you as the parent, the caregiver, enough time to realize that, oh, I hear a chair scooting over towards the barrier fence, right? It gives you more time to move.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions?
Are there any kind of pool games like Sharks and Minnows or Marco Polo that would be would require more parental supervision around the pool when children are engaged in playing those games, or games that maybe kiddos shouldn't be playing in the pool?
I don't know that it would encourage any more because I'm a firm believer there needs to be constant active supervision. And if you're constantly and actively supervising, it really doesn't matter what games they're playing, right? Now, we do encourage that they're not playing those, get on the raft games. And I'm, for the life of me, can't think of what it's called right now, where they're, pushing each other off and seeing who can stay on the longer. You're at risk then for hitting your heads on the side of the pool and causing at that point, a traumatic brain injury, right? It's but again, yeah, just active supervision. We have water watcher tags that we give out, and the adult who should be actively supervising is wearing a water watcher tag. They don't leave their spot until another adult comes and takes over that water watcher position. And again, no cell phones. Put your cell phones down. Your job is to be scanning and looking at the water at all times and actively supervising what's going on in the pool. One of the things we do recommend too is that, again, like I said earlier, is that you have CPR, but as far as out by the pools as well, in case of an emergency response, is that you literally create some type of board that you're hanging on the wall that has the address of where you are. Because in the event of a drowning, it may not be you as the homeowner who's dialing 911. It could possibly be your friend who's there, visiting and is at the party, and they know where your house is, but they don't know your exact address. So if you have an emergency board up with the address on it, in the event that happens, then the exact address to provide while you're dialing in for emergency.
There is a question in the chat that says, how do we get CPR certified?
Yeah, Red Cross offers CPS certifications as well as the American Heart Association. So you can go on the Red Cross website and look to see what courses are being offered locally in your area.
Well, Rhonda, thank you very much for presenting to this group today. I appreciate you sharing this education with us. We did record this video, this Lunch and Learn, so we will be sending out that recording later today or early next week. Our next Lunch and Learn will be on June 7th, and we'll be talking about positive co-parenting, do's and don'ts with Karen Ohm. Registration information will be out in the next week. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.